The conversation you are about to listen to was created entirely by artificial intelligence. In this conversation, the complexity of the job market in the tech sector, tech world, is discussed in a casual podcast format. Judge for yourself the level of the conversation, the quality of the voices, and how realistic it all seems. Let me ask you a question. Should humans be concerned about the meteoric evolution of AI?
Hey everyone, welcome back to another deep dive. Today we're going to be wading into the tech job market.
Ooh, wading into it.
Yeah, it sounds like from the source material we got that it's pretty choppy waters out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you saw this, but the conversation we got from Mary and Josh, two tech professionals just talking about their experience. It sounds like they're trying to, cross a river that's got a bunch of like hidden rapids or something like that.
It is a little scary out there.
Yeah.
And I think they're really hitting on something that a lot of folks in tech are feeling right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of a strange time in this industry.
So the first thing that really jumps out at you from this conversation is just how competitive it is out there. They're not just saying, oh, you need to be good at what you do.
Yeah.
It's like you have to be this amazing, coding superhero just to even get a foot in the door.
I think that's a really apt description.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that's contributing to this is that we've seen a lot of layoffs at the bigger tech companies. So all of a sudden you have all of this amazing talent that has been, unfortunately let go from these companies.
Yeah.
And now they're all in the market looking for jobs.
Competing with everyone else.
Yeah, you're taking this massive pool of talent and dumping it into an already competitive market.
Right. And it's not just, oh, we're saying this, it's competitive.
Yeah.
Josh specifically mentions people that he's worked with.
Oh, yeah.
Who are amazing at their jobs at these big companies.
Yeah.
That are now struggling to find work.
Yeah.
Like for months. It's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it really shows that it's not just about having the skills. It's about how you present yourself and how you showcase your skills.
Okay.
Because if those people are struggling,
yeah,
it's a tough market for everybody.
Yeah, if the rock stars are having a hard time,
right?
What does that mean for like the rest of us who are trying to break in or
It's a good point.
Move up the ladder.
It's a good point.
So you've got this intense competition. And then on top of that, Mary was talking about just the frustration of like always having to learn these new tools and languages.
Yeah.
It's like the tech world is never standing still.
Yeah.
It just keeps going and going and going.
Right. And that's the nature of the industry, right? The pace of change is incredible.
Right.
So it is about being able to constantly learn new things and to be adaptable. Because what's hot today might be obsolete tomorrow.
She even said she's seeing job postings where they want you to have experience with technology.
Oh, yeah.
That's only been around for like a few months. Like, come on.
I mean, it is a little bit like they're looking for these like, unicorn programmers.
Josh was joking about. Yeah, they want someone who can do everything perfectly.
Yeah.
And they want them to have known it for years already, even though it's brand new.
Yeah, and I think sometimes companies are just looking for that kind of perfect candidate.
Yeah.
That might not actually exist.
Right.
And so it's important to remember that even if you don't have experience with the latest and greatest thing, as long as you have that core foundation and that ability to learn, you can pick up those new skills.
Right. So it's not necessarily that you need to know everything. It's that you need to be able to learn everything.
Exactly.
But then let's get back to those layoffs, because that seems like a really big piece of what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, Mary and Josh both talked about how it's just added this whole other layer of like worry and uncertainty to the job search.
Yeah. And I think it's important to remember that layoffs don't just affect the people who lose their jobs.
Right.
It kind of has a ripple effect across the entire industry.
Yeah.
Because now you have this increased competition.
Right.
And it can actually drive down salary expectations.
Yeah.
Because companies now have more options.
Right.
And they might not be as willing to pay as much.
It's like supply and demand.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not just harder to find a job. It's also potentially harder to get paid what you're worth.
Exactly.
Because companies might be thinking, well, I can get 5 other people just as good as this person, but for less.
Exactly. And Mary and Josh were both saying they're seeing offers that are lower than they used to be.
Yeah, especially at startups.
Especially at startups.
Yeah, where maybe the funding isn't as secure.
Right.
Or they're being a little bit more cautious with their spending.
Right. I mean, it's a tough time for a lot of companies, so they're being more careful.
Yeah, so it's not just about landing a job. It's also about understanding how to negotiate.
Exactly.
in this kind of shifting landscape.
I think it's more important than ever to do your research, to know what other people in similar roles are making, and to be prepared to advocate for yourself.
Okay, so it's not just about the code, it's about the business side of things too.
Absolutely. And I think that leads us into another really interesting point that they brought up.
Yeah.
This whole debate about returning to the office.
Yes, the RTO debate.
After years of remote work, it seems like some companies are starting to get a little bit antsy.
Yeah.
And they're calling people back in.
Mary seemed pretty skeptical about this.
Yeah.
She was basically saying, like, look, if it worked fine during the pandemic, why are we suddenly, making this big push to be back in person?
I mean, and to be fair, you can see her point, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people really enjoy the flexibility of working remotely.
Right.
And they don't necessarily want to give that up.
Yeah. It's like, what is this really about?
Right. Is it about productivity?
Yeah.
Or is it about something else?
Yeah. Are they just trying to, micromanage people, or do they just not trust their employees, or I don't know.
Or is it a cultural thing?
Yeah.
Some companies maybe feel like they need that.
FaceTime. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of arguments on both sides.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something to consider when you're looking at different job opportunities.
Yeah. Because if you are someone who thrives
in a remote environment,
right,
and you go to a company that's like, nope, everybody in the office 5 days a week, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's not going to be a good fit.
So it's not just about the job itself.
Right.
It's about the whole work environment and whether it aligns
in culture, the value
with your lifestyle.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got this like multi-layered challenge here.
Yeah.
It's not just competitive and the skills are always changing.
Right.
But now you've got this whole question of like, where am I even going to be doing this job?
Right.
Am I going to be at home? Am I going to be in the office?
Exactly.
And it sounds like it varies so much from company to company.
It does.
Yeah. Josh mentioned some companies are fully remote. Some are hybrid.
Yeah.
Some are back in the office full time.
Right.
So it's just this whole other layer of research that you have to do.
Exactly.
So how do we even begin to make sense of all of this?
That's a great question, and it's what we're going to talk about in the next part of our deep dive. All right, so we've talked about all the challenges in the tech job market right now. Like, it's a lot to take in.
It is.
But let's try to shift gears a little bit and talk about, like, what can you actually do about it?
Yeah.
How can you stand out in this, like, super crowded, constantly changing world?
Well, I think one of the things that Mary said that really resonated with me was her approach to learning.
Yeah.
She's been teaching herself AI.
Right.
Because she sees it as the future, and she wants to be ready for it.
Yeah, she's not just waiting around for someone to tell her what to do.
Exactly.
She's taking charge of her own, upskilling and learning.
Yeah, and that's a really smart move because if you think about it, AI is already being used in so many different industries.
Yeah.
Everything from self-driving cars.
Yeah, it's everything.
To medical diagnosis.
Right.
I mean, it's only going to get bigger.
So for someone like Mary who maybe doesn't have direct experience with AI yet, what are some concrete steps that she could take to get started?
Well, there are a ton of online resources available these days.
Yeah.
I mean, you can find everything from free courses on platforms like Coursera or edX to boot camps that offer more intensive training.
Okay.
And it's not just about AI as this broad concept either.
Right.
There are different subfields within AI that she could explore.
Okay, so like what?
So like machine learning, for example,
Okay.
which is basically where computers learn from data to make predictions, or natural language processing, which focuses on how computers understand and interact with human language.
Okay.
Those are both areas that are in really high demand right now.
So it's about kind of identifying those niches within AI and then figuring out which one aligns best with your interests or even your current skill set.
Exactly.
You don't necessarily have to start completely from scratch.
Right. Like maybe Mary is already really good at coding in Python, which is a popular language for machine learning.
Right.
So she could leverage that existing skill to kind of jumpstart her AI journey.
Okay, so we've got AI as one example of a really hot field. But what are some other areas where someone who's, either looking to break into tech or even someone who's been in it for a while might want to focus their energy?
Well, cybersecurity is another huge one right now.
Okay.
With all the data breaches and cyber attacks happening, companies are really desperate for people who can protect their systems and information.
It's like job security baked right into the field.
Right. Because Unfortunately, it doesn't look like cybercrime is going away anytime soon.
No, not at all.
So, and then you have areas like cloud computing,
Okay.
which is how businesses store and manage their data online, or blockchain,
Right.
which is the technology behind cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin.
Yeah. Okay, so there are definitely options out there.
Yeah.
It's just about doing your research and figuring out what sparks your interest.
And I think that's a key takeaway here.
Okay.
It's not just about chasing the latest trends or what you think is going to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
It's about finding something that you're genuinely passionate about. Because when you're passionate about something, you're more likely to put in the time and effort to master it.
Right.
And that's what's going to make you stand out in the long run.
It's about that internal motivation, not just doing something because you think it looks good on a resume.
Exactly. And the cool thing about tech is that there's often a lot of overlap between different fields.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you're interested in AI, understanding cloud computing can be a huge asset.
Okay.
Because a lot of AI applications are powered by cloud infrastructure.
So the skills you learn in one area can often be applied to other areas.
Exactly. It's about building that flexible and adaptable skill set that we talked about earlier.
Right. You're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
You're kind of building this, like, Swiss Army knife of skills.
That's a great analogy.
But now beyond just specific technologies, there are also certain foundational skills that are always going to be in demand. Regardless of what, like, the hot new thing is.
Exactly, like problem solving, for example.
But, yeah, problem solving is huge.
Employers want people who can think critically, analyze information, and come up with creative solutions to complex challenges.
So it's not just about knowing how to code.
Right.
It's about knowing how to think like a coder.
Exactly.
How to break down a problem into smaller steps and then come up with a solution.
Right. And communication is also really crucial.
Yeah.
You might be the most brilliant coder in the world, but if you can't explain your ideas clearly to others, you're not going to get very far.
Especially in a team environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you have to work with other people.
Right. You need to be able to collaborate effectively.
Yeah.
Understand their perspectives. And be able to contribute your own ideas in a way that moves the project forward.
Right. So communication is key.
Definitely. And don't underestimate the importance of things like time management and organization.
Oh, yeah, those are important too.
Because in tech, deadlines are often really tight. And there are always multiple projects happening at once.
Right. It's like organized chaos sometimes.
Yeah. So being able to prioritize tasks, manage your time effectively, and stay organized is really essential.
Yeah. So all of these skills, it sounds like, are valuable not just in tech, but really in any career.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
These are those transferable skills that will serve you well no matter where your career takes you.
Okay, so let's say you've identified some areas you're passionate about.
Right.
You're working on building those, like, essential skills. You're ready to start applying for jobs.
Yeah.
Where do you even begin?
Well, Mary was talking about being really strategic with her applications.
Okay.
Not just applying to everything she sees.
Right.
Which I think is a really smart move.
Yeah.
Because that kind of spray and pray approach rarely works.
It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Right.
And see what sticks.
You're much better off focusing your energy on companies and roles that are a good fit for your skills and interests.
But how do you even find those companies?
Right.
Like, it's not like they're just going to magically appear in your inbox.
Well, that's where networking comes in.
Oh, networking, that scary word.
I know for some people it can be a little daunting.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be.
Right.
It's not about schmoozing or being fake.
Yeah.
It's about building genuine connections with people in your field. And it can be as simple as reaching out to people on LinkedIn who work at companies that you admire, or attending industry events, whether they're in person or virtual.
Yeah, or even joining, like, online communities, like Slack groups or Discord servers, where people are talking about the latest trends in tech.
It's about putting yourself out there, engaging in conversations, and building relationships.
Because you never know where those connections might lead.
Exactly. And Josh made a great point about not underestimating the power of referrals.
Oh, yeah, referrals are gold.
They really are. So if you know someone who works at a company you're interested in, even if it's just a casual acquaintance, reach out and see if they'd be willing to pass your resume along.
Yeah, it's like a warm intro.
Exactly. It can give you a huge advantage.
Yeah, because it comes with, like, a built-in endorsement, like, hey, this person is worth talking to.
Exactly.
All right, so networking is key.
Yeah.
But let's say you found a company you're excited about. You're ready to apply.
Right.
What can you do to make your application stand out?
Well, first and foremost, make sure your resume and cover letter are tailored to the specific role and company. Generic applications are so easy to spot, and they don't make a good impression.
It's like you're just mass mailing your resume and hoping something sticks.
Right. You need to do your homework.
Yeah.
Really understand what the company does, what the specific role entails.
Yeah.
And then highlight the skills and experiences on your resume that are most relevant to that.
So don't be afraid to get creative with your application materials.
Absolutely.
What do you mean by that?
So if you're applying for a design role, for example, you might consider creating a visually striking resume or portfolio that really showcases your design skills. Or if you're a developer, you could include links to your GitHub profile or personal projects that demonstrate your coding abilities.
So it's about going beyond just like the standard resume and cover letter format. And finding ways to showcase your skills and your personality.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've submitted your application. Don't just sit back and wait.
Follow
up with the hiring manager. Reiterate your interest. Highlight your skills.
Yes, show them that you're really invested in the opportunity.
Be proactive.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, if you do get an interview, make sure you're prepared.
Yes, be prepared to answer those common interview questions.
Like tell me about yourself or...
Why are you interested in this role?
But also be prepared to ask insightful questions of your own.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. What kind of questions?
Well, you could ask about the company's culture, their growth plans, the specific challenges that they're facing. You could ask about the team you'd be working with, the types of projects you'd be involved in.
So you're not just looking for a job. You're looking for the right job.
Exactly.
And you've taken the time to understand what that job entails.
It shows that you're genuinely interested in the company and the role.
Okay, so it's a lot of work.
It is.
But it sounds like it can be done.
It can. And while there's no guaranteed formula for success, following these tips can definitely increase your chances of landing that dream tech job.
Okay, so we've talked about continuous learning, developing those essential skills, networking, crafting a standout application. But even with all of that, the job search can be a really long and winding road.
It can. So how do you stay motivated and positive when things get tough?
That's a great question.
And
it's something that we're going to talk about in the final part of our deep dive.
All right. So we talked about the skills, the challenges, even how to like really nail that application process. But let's be honest, the tech job search can be brutal.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a marathon, not a sprint.
Definitely.
So how do you keep your spirits up when you feel like they're just sending your resume out into this like void?
Right. I think a lot of people struggle with that.
And
one thing that really helped me was kind of reframing my thinking about rejection.
Okay, because getting those like thanks but no thanks emails can be soul crushing.
It can be. And instead of seeing it as like a personal failure, try to view it as data. Like maybe your resume didn't quite hit the mark for that particular role. Or maybe your skills weren't the exact match they were looking for. Each no can be a learning experience. Helping you kind of refine your approach and target your efforts more effectively.
So it's not just about getting a yes. It's about using each interaction, even the negative ones, to get better at the whole process.
Exactly. And remember, you're not alone in this. Connect with other people who are going through the same thing. You know, join online communities, attend meetups, talk to your friends, your mentors. Sharing your experiences and getting support from others can make a huge difference.
It's like a problem shared is a problem halved.
Exactly.
Sometimes just knowing that other people are going through the same struggles can be really reassuring.
Absolutely. And it's not just about emotional support either.
Yeah.
Those connections can also lead to job opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
You never know who might know about an opening that's a perfect fit for you.
It all comes back to networking.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does.
So we've got networking, we've got reframing that rejection. What else can you do to kind of keep those spirits up?
Well, I think it's also really important to celebrate your wins.
Okay.
No matter how small they might seem.
Okay, like what?
So did you finally finish that online course you've been putting off?
Yeah.
Give yourself a high five?
Right.
Did you land an interview after weeks of applying?
Yeah.
That's worth celebrating too.
It's like acknowledging that progress and giving yourself credit for all the effort that you're putting in.
Exactly.
Even when the results aren't immediate.
Right, because it's easy to get caught up in the negativity.
Yeah, especially when you're facing rejection after rejection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But focusing on the positive, even those little wins,
right,
can help you stay motivated and keep moving forward.
Okay, so we've got reframing rejection.
Yeah.
We've got building that support system, celebrating your wins.
Yes.
What else can we do to stay sane during this process?
Well, I think it's really important to remember to take care of yourself.
Okay.
The job search can be all-consuming.
Yeah, it can feel like a full-time job.
Right. But it's so important to make time for activities that bring you joy.
Right.
And help you de-stress.
So important, but easier said than done sometimes.
It is, but whether it's going for a run,
Yeah.
reading a book, spending time with loved ones,
Right.
or even just taking a few minutes to meditate,
Mm-hmm.
make sure you're prioritizing your mental and physical well-being.
Because if you're burnt out and exhausted, you're not going to be at your best when those opportunities do come knocking.
Exactly. And this might sound a little counterintuitive.
Okay.
But sometimes the best thing you can do is actually take a break
from
the job search altogether.
Really, like a strategic retreat?
Exactly.
Okay.
Step away from the computer,
Yeah.
clear your head,
Yeah.
and come back to it with fresh eyes.
Okay.
You might be surprised at how much more focused and productive you are when you give yourself a chance to recharge.
Like hitting the reset button.
Exactly.
So it sounds like navigating this whole tech job market thing
is as much about managing your mindset as it is about having the right skills and experience.
I completely agree. It's a journey. It's going to have its ups and downs.
For sure.
But by staying positive, persistent, and adaptable, you can navigate those twists and turns and ultimately reach your destination.
I love that. It's about seeing those rapids not as obstacles, but as challenges to be overcome.
Exactly. And remember, the tech industry is constantly evolving. New technologies are emerging all the time, creating new opportunities that we can't even imagine yet.
So stay curious, embrace the unknown, and never stop learning.
And with that, we leave you with a final thought.
Okay, hit us with it.
What unique skills or experiences do you bring to the table? How can you leverage those strengths to create your own path in this exciting and ever-evolving industry?
It's not just about finding a job. It's about finding your place.
Exactly.
In the tech world. Thanks for diving deep with us. Until next time.